Before we get started, if I could have everybody's attention 1 minute, I appreciate it. A lot of people in here, obviously, it's probably going to get warm pretty fast, so I think that the council is probably going to do this agenda item first, even though it's later in the agenda as it's posted. So we'll probably rearrange it. This is the first meeting where we're officially streaming from the city account, so there's a camera that's up high in the back, so no worries about that. But the microphones are incredibly sensitive, and we have a lot of elderly folks in town that couldn't make it to the meeting but express an interest in hearing what everybody has to say. So even though there's a lot of people, and just try to keep the secondary sound to a minimum while people are speaking. And then the other thing that we're going to do, I saw some comments online about having to wait till the end of the meeting to speak. That's not how we're doing it. So once the motion is on the table at the beginning of the agenda, then we're going to move to a public comment. So anybody that wants to speak publicly will be able to do so from the podium. We'll record it. It should be picked up by the microphones. But when you're speaking from the podium, try to speak kind of loudly, so that we can get the comments on the on the live stream as best we can. And then the streams will be available on our agenda page. It's on the government page of the city website, and then we're good to go. We'll get started here in a few minutes, and then if anybody, do you have a question?
Did you want people to state their name when they give their response?
Oh, so traditionally people state their name and their address at the podium. It's not mandatory, so if you feel comfortable doing that, it's a very traditional way to do it, that's fine. If you don't feel comfortable stating your name or your address, we totally understand it's not mandatory, so you can just come to the podium and speak. All speakers will have 3 minutes, which is ample time to speak, and then and that'll be that. It might be a little hard to get people to and from the podium, so just ask for everybody's cooperation in letting people come to and from the podium. And as I've got the air condition as low as it could possibly go, and I know it's going to get a little heated in here with all the people, so we'll try to get through this agenda item, like I said, early and as quickly as we can, with everybody having that opportunity to speak. So thank you all for coming, and if you do have questions, we're in City Hall. After the meeting, you can ask us whatever you like, and we'll be happy to get you any information that you're seeking. So we are live now, and I'm just going to double check for the council members that we're streaming, and then we can get started. Okay, we are live.
All right, we'll go ahead and start a minute early, so I'll call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank everybody for coming tonight. We'll go ahead and do roll call. Deb? Here. Sarah? Here. Riley?
Here.
Megan? Here. Jason?
Here.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented or amended?
We need to make that amendment.
Yeah. Yep.
I'll make the motion to move number 13 up to the first item of business.
Second. Motion second to amend the agenda and move number 13 to the top. Any other questions? Now we'll go to vote. Deb?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Yes.
Riley? Megan?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
All right. So we'll
comes item number 4, motion to reappoint Nick Stelkin to the office of Fire Chief for a 2-year term.
Make the motion.
All second to discuss.
Motion second to reappoint Nick Stelkin to the office of Fire Chief for a 2-year term.
Okay, so the motion's on the table. I'm going to queue up, as most people know, I'm pretty new to Strawberry Point, and I've been working with both the fire department and the city council to try to, mediate or mitigate the situation. So I'd like to read a few notes, just documenting for public disclosure, sort of my findings and how, why we're here and what we're talking about tonight. So please bear with me. It's a couple of pages, but I want to make sure that I'm detailed. So in January of 2021, the City Council officially appointed Nick Stelkin to the office of Fire Chief to serve a 2-year term. On December 14th, 2022, the Fire Department voted to renominate Nick for reappointment to the office of Fire Chief. And minutes from that meeting were delivered into City Hall, and City Hall acknowledged receiving the minutes and filing them. In the following City Council meeting, in the information section of the regular meeting, it was acknowledged that those minutes were received and filed. But no further action thereafter to reappoint Chief Stelkin happened. So as it reads in the information section, it says the Strawberry Point Firemen's Association minutes from December 24th, 2022 and December 28th, 2022 were received and filed. Council reviewed, and then it goes on to say the council reviewed the December delinquent account list. That's other business. So next, pursuant to our city code 42.07, the fire chief appointed, the council, this is our city code and how it reads, the council shall appoint the fire chief for a term of 2 years or to fill a vacancy. The fire department may recommend one of their members to the council for appointment as fire chief, and the council may remove the fire chief by written order setting out the reasons for removal, which shall be filed with the city administrator. That's in the case of an actual removal. So the city of Strawberry Point legally is 18 months overdue for a reappointment to this position. Upon learning the reappointment was going to be on the agenda for the July 17th meeting, the fire department issued a statement to summarize that statement, and I'll do my best to remain objective in my summaries. The fire department decided to, quote, turn in their pagers, end quote, effective immediately, meaning they were taking the fire department out of service. And the fire department has cited a, quote, continued lack of support from the city council and mayor, end quote. I do want to thank the chief and the entire fire department for coordinating with our neighbors, specifically our mutual aid partners, to have Strawberry Point covered by neighboring departments as we try to work things out. So thank you for doing that. The following day, Friday, I met with a number of fire department members and supporters, and I was able to hear and document the grievances. In my opinion, most of the grievances stem from poor communication between the entities, and with both entities sharing some blame in that breakdown of communication. I'm not going to detail all of the grievances because they're numerous, but in my opinion, we've narrowed it down to some simple fixes. Furthermore, poor record keeping and the lack of a city administrator for a couple of years to manage compliance, I think, has exacerbated and magnified the divisions between the two entities. So during that meeting, I was also able to share with the fire department some of the grievances toward the department. Again, my findings stand heavily on poor communication and record keeping, and in my opinion, the meeting was very productive and much needed. On Monday, July 15th, I mediated a bilateral discussion between the mayor and the fire chief to try resolving some of the differences with a framework to move forward. I thank both the chief and the mayor. We had a very open and honest conversation about communication and rebuilding trust. Again, I thought the meeting was very productive. And during that meeting, we discussed some ways forward, which included the following. Tabling this decision to reappoint or not appoint for 3 months. And during that time, we would monitor improvements in communication from both entities. We would change the liaison to the fire department to either myself or somebody else. We would agree to uphold the virtues of our code of ethics and immediately cease any negativity toward each other, elected officials, fire department, city staff, anybody for that matter. in person and online, and including encouraging our families and friends and supporters to also remain, above board. The chief in the department would work more closely with the city administrator on financial planning, including, and this is again what we discussed in that meeting, including sharing bank balances so that fiscal planning can be productive. One of the grievances was that, the association funds certain things, equipment for the department, and, not knowing where they're at financially, doesn't help the matter. Now, we understand that this trust is there, and so the agreement in that meeting was that I would understand a better fiscal position of the association and use that solely in our fiscal and financial planning and not to share it with members of the board. The chief would also give access to the fire station to the city administrator and conditional access to other city staff, with the condition being that a fire department member is needed to be present if anybody wants to visit the premises. And the reason for that was, trucks are plugged in. If something gets unplugged, it could mean that a truck doesn't start. There's a lot of really dangerous heavy-duty equipment in there, and the bathrooms are sort of not easy to get to, and you have to go by the equipment. So I thought that was a very reasonable way forward. Again, I thank the chief and I thank the mayor for having an open and honest discussion. And then both the mayor and myself spoke to various city council members individually to let everybody know what was going on. So throughout this, I've done my very best to stay neutral and objective throughout this process. As you can imagine, the department reports up to my office, and the city council is my boss. So I'm kind of, squeezed in there in the middle. But as a former elected official back home in Chicagoland and also a city employee, I see the issue very clearly from both sides, having worn both hats. And so I have a deep respect for our firefighters, especially those who volunteer to do this work. And whatever happens in the deliberations, I think it's really important to cite the commitments that our firefighters make voluntarily, and that we not lose that in this discussion. So this reappointment agenda item, as I see it, and I'm not the city council, so I'm just presenting the options as I see it. The options are to reappoint Nick Stelken to a 2-year term, to not reappoint Nick, or to table the reappointment for 3 months with both entities agreeing to the terms that I just mentioned and have a monitoring period to see if there are improvements to be made. And so just for transparency for the public, if Nick is reappointed to a full term or a 3-month term with mutual agreement of the terms herein, it's my understanding that members of the fire department will put the department back in service immediately. It is also my understanding that if Nick is not reappointed, that members of the fire department will stay out of service. If the members of the department choose to stay out of service after tonight, it will put my office in a very unfortunate position of expelling everybody who violated Code 42.14.1, which reads expulsion. Any fireman shall be subject to expulsion from the fire department for any of the following acts or omissions. And the number one is refusing or neglecting to do his or her duty as a fireman. And I don't say this as a threat. I say this as a wake-up call to the community that, this is a major issue. But for transparency and the public to know what position we would be in having to rebuild the fire department from scratch, which I don't think any of us really want to do. So that is my summary. I believe it's incredibly objective and fair and laying out the issues. And then now that the motion's on the table, I thought that we would go to public comment. And all the public commenters, whoever wants to comment, you'll have 3 minutes. And we'll give you a little heads up at like 2.5 minutes. If you're getting a little long, we'll mention that the time is up. So it's up to you, Mayor, to open the floor for public discussion.
We'll open the floor to public comment. Anyone would like to start?
Well,
can you come up here so we can hear it? Thanks, sorry. Yeah.
So, this is James Cole. I'm captain. This was just brought forward to us from the Clayton County Emergency Management. We do not have a 2080 agreement for fire. So, we are at the mercy of you guys right now. Completely. The city is completely at your guys' mercy. So if you don't want Nick as the chief,
all of our guys will be forced to stay home.
Can I ask a question?
You certainly can. Okay.
Do you want to finish, or?
Nope, I mean, it's not been signed, it's not in the recorder's office. The EMA director could not find it
Okay.
anywhere, so
Okay. Is that, whose responsibility is that to?
you guys,
Okay, okay.
that is all on the city.
Yep, okay.
And I will confirm, we've looked for that agreement
Yep.
extensively and haven't found a resolution or a physical contract.
Okay, thank
So
you.
currently, the cities that are our neighbors, they don't have to, but I'm sure they'd be willing to help, but legally, they wouldn't have to,
Sure.
so.
No department, you don't have a department, the 2080 agreement is not void even if you have one.
Correct. So we're actually in violation of a 28 agreement with Edgewood because we cannot support them.
But the other part of it is if you don't have a department,
Right.
then the 2080 agreement, even if it was in place, is null and void. Because you can't reciprocate.
So, I just figured you guys need to know that.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, thanks, Jason.
Peter Street, and I wasn't planning on saying anything, but I just have one question. Anyone who is planning on not reinstating Nick, I would like to hear the reason why. We've had an awful lot of votes over the month where people said they were against something, but they wouldn't say why, and I would like to know why. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dan Bronte, 406 Commercial Street. I would just like everyone to consider, looking at the faces up there. I know one person has been on fire ground, an accident scene, or any other emergency call. I can kind of assume that most of you haven't. But I want you to consider the decisions that need to be made for the life of a crew, the life of the person in the fire or in the accident, for all the considerations of a developing situation, the potentials that could go wrong, making the determination of when to enter a structure to try and save someone, when not to, what needs done to get somebody out of a car as fast as they need to, all on a very timely basis, with confidence and the knowledge to do it. The fire department votes as a group for their leader, for their chief, for the person that they put their trust in to make those decisions in a timely manner to save not only his life, the crew's life, but anybody who's in that situation. Having not been on a fire ground or in an accident or on an accident scene and understanding those things puts you at a disadvantage for choosing who should be chief, who should be the leader, who you will put your trust in to make those decisions in a time frame that will save lives or cost lives. The firefighters on the department and me, when I was on the department, put our trust in Nick because he has the experience, he has the knowledge, he knows what he's doing, he knows what's going on, he has answers to questions that don't even come up until you're in the middle of it. He knows what he's doing, and he needs to. And frankly, if the men, women on the fire department put their trust in him to make those decisions, that should be good enough to reappoint him as chief.
Thank you.
Steve Mason, Dale. The fire service has assembled a triangle to represent fire: fuel, heat, and oxygen. Take one away and the fire goes out. I believe the symbol of a square represents a good fire department: common sense, transparency, cooperation, and ethics. Take one away and there will be problems. I've been associated with the fire and EMS services for 54 years. I've seen good and I've seen bad. Fighting solves nothing. Fighting creates problems. I live over an hour away from here, so how does the Strawberry Point Fire Department affect me? I will leave here tonight and travel home. I could have an accident, vehicle accident a mile away, and be trapped inside with possible fire. Guess who would respond? You have a 1 in 4 chances of calling the fire department in your lifetime. The fire service is not a social club, nor is it a good old boys club. It's a business that delivers multiple services to the public they are expecting 24/7. Following the attacks on 9/11, Congress directed all government agencies, including OSHA, to strengthen their preparedness to respond to terrorist attacks, major disasters, and other emergencies. Currently, the federal OSHA agency is receiving public comments until July 22nd about the new federal OSHA emergency response standard for volunteer and paid and EMS departments. The National Volunteer Fire Council held a roundtable talk on March 17th, and if enacted, it would bring immense challenges to the volunteer departments, and some may be forced to shut down. Some examples of the new standards, if enacted: training hours increasing from 24 hours per year to 172. Physicals every 2 years, according to NFPA 1582. Replacing tires and apparatus every 7 years. All fire chiefs must receive fire officer 3. Set up and conduct an annual brake test for all your trucks. All officers and chiefs must be trained NFPA 1021. This standard, it involves 22 NFPA and 1 ANSI standard, full text, the whole thing. They also have an additional 14 NFPA standards in part. Another issue facing the fire service is educating firefighters about the change in Iowa workers' compensation law. It states, if injured and alcohol or drugs are detected above 0, you can be denied medical payments. This certainly would have an impact on the volunteer service. Repeating, I believe the symbol of a square represents a good fire department: common sense, transparency, cooperation, and ethics. Take one away, and there will be problems. In closing, the symbol of the square also applies to city councils and other governmental bodies.
Thank you. Yeah, and I have another handout in there.
Okay, and it's okay if I give it to him after?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, just give them one over there.
So I wasn't going to talk tonight, but I feel compelled to because I feel like it's important to know that when a fireman signs up to be a fireman, it's not just him, it's his family. And when my husband has hurt over the last week, I've hurt with him. And my kids went through it with rumors that have been said, accusing my husband of things. My kids have felt that, and it's a family affair. And it's hurtful because I know how dedicated my husband is to this town. And every time that I have felt overwhelmed with what is happening between the council and the fire department, my husband says to me, I do it for the community, not for the people who sit at that table who are against me. And tonight, he can't be here because he's at a work conference. that I hope you realize how much my husband supports this community and how much he loves this department. And he has excellent relationships with the community leaders, with the state leaders, and it's because he believes in what he does. And when you believe in something so wholeheartedly, it works, and you do everything you can to make it work. And I think there's been a lot of misunderstandings. There's no doubt in my mind that some of you hold grudges against me, and that impacts my husband. I'm an auditor by nature. I'm outspoken. If people break the rules, I tell them. But I ask you to set that aside tonight and think about what's right for this community and what's right for our department.
Anyone else?
Okay.
Okay, all right, so we will take the floor back for no more public comment, correct?
Correct,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'll open up the deliberation.
I guess I'll start. Thanks everybody for coming out tonight, and sharing your grievances with the city. In the 3.5 years that I've been on the city council, I've questioned things I did not understand, agree with because the people of Strawberry Point entrusted me to do what was right for the entire community, to make the hard and sometimes unpopular decisions, to vote for things that make the city better, to bring attention to things that are unethical, and to shine light on the darkness. Approximately 1.5 to 2 years ago, the city of Strawberry Point had an auditor come in to do a complete, full audit of the city, independent audit, while we were between city administrators. As a result of that audit, the auditor noted that we did not have a full financial picture of the city, within the city, and informed us as city council members that we are required to keep track of all city funds and finances. Our fire department has two means of funding. They have city funding that is part of the city's annual budget, which is paid for by city taxpayer funds, and they also have a firemen's association that is separate from the city. In June of 2021, unbeknownst to the city council, the fire department sold a fire vehicle owned by the city of Strawberry Point and put the money into the fire association account. The former city administrator was aware of the sale but failed to follow proper procedures. Members of the city council were made aware of the sale in January, and when we asked the fire department, because we were still not receiving the financial information as required of where those funds went, they wouldn't tell us. This escalated, and it was determined after seeking legal counsel from our city attorney that the fire department had sold the city vehicle, depositing the $20,000 into their association account and not giving the funds to the city of Strawberry Point. When there was finally an agreement to pay the city back, the fire department, in their good faith to pay the city tax dollars that were used to buy that truck, gave the city a $20 check. This has since been resolved, and the full $20,000 has been returned to the city. I support our fire department. The city continues to support them financially. I support them through thought and mind when you're on a fire or an emergency call. We want them safe, but this has been very frustrating for me. We have asked numerous times to see the books, and they have refused over and over again. It doesn't help when there are allegations of misappropriation of funds, and it caused concerns that there may be something going on that isn't ethical or isn't legal. The city of Strawberry Point operates on a $3+ million annual budget. We are beholden to the taxpayers to account for every penny, to publicly publish the budgets, our audits, and tax information, so the members of the public know where their dollars are being spent. I understand the Fire Association is not required to share their financial information with the city. But if openness and honesty is the goal, and we truly want to work together to have better communication, I don't understand why the association wouldn't want to be transparent with the members of the community that support them. This spring, the FBI came to Strawberry Point to review allegations made by members of the community of potential misappropriation of taxpayer funds related to the Strawberry Point Fire Department. It is disheartening and disappointing that the fire department made the drastic decision to quit without working with the city to attempt to resolve the issues under current leadership. Refusing or neglecting duties is a direct violation of Code 42.14. We need to stay the course, and we will have solutions here very soon. I have had people reach out from the community that are former fire department members who are willing to join the fire department again. It is for these reasons that I cannot support Mr. Selkin's appointment as fire chief. While I have lost faith in the fire chief, I have not lost faith in the department as a whole. But we cannot continue to go down this road. We have a fiduciary responsibility as elected officials to the taxpayers of this community. We have drawn a line, and that line has been very clear. That line is a legal line and an ethical line. It is a requirement to make sure we can account for all city funding. We will overcome this obstacle while remaining a voice for the taxpayers of Strawberry Point to make sure we continue to do the right thing. Thank you.
I want to know
Nope.
the actual
Nope.
proof
Nope.
you have for that ambulance.
Can we not replace them?
No.
I want proof that you guys actually own that ambulance.
Okay, all right.
So I want to piggyback off that because I do know a little bit since I've been on.
You guys, okay, hold on.
Okay.
I know, but hold on.
I'll speak.
Because he's an elected official,
He can say whatever he wants.
he didn't interrupt you when you spoke. It's important not to interrupt the city council when they speak. And all of these things, you can put in an official request and we can get an official response. But it's very important, we can't legally be having a discussion back and forth because it's just gonna get out of hand.
I just wanted to piggyback off of a few statements
That's
that you
totally
made.
your prerogative.
That truck was sold, the administrator knew at the time, the mayor was also aware of the situation. We have emails to prove that. They went up and asked her to talk to her. The title was signed by the city administrator. Mayor, sorry. The mayor.
No, the title was not signed by me.
You got documentation that it was your.
It was not the title, thank you.
Well, whatever. You were aware, they came to you and you knew about it, correct?
I was aware that there was a vehicle being purchased from the DNR.
So when they came to talk to you about selling it, you had.
At my personal office, I didn't really know what they were talking about. I signed the form. Was anybody aware on the fire department that the FBI was here to investigate?
No.
Is that a true statement?
I don't know, I wasn't here.
Hannah was the FBI.
I have no idea.
They were here to investigate us.
I wouldn't say to investigate you, to investigate where funds went and why they went there.
So, not necessarily the fire department.
No.
And the council wasn't aware, because I wasn't aware that the FBI
Council
was
members
here.
were aware, yes.
So at a secret meeting that we hold, or
No,
what was it
no.
talked about? Wasn't an open meeting.
It doesn't have to be an open meeting. You can make a request.
Okay, so things we talked about. Behind your back. So only some of the council members up here get to know everything. I'm gonna be completely honest.
They do, they have.
I was not, yep, they were all contacted last night by the mayor, and I didn't get any phone call. I tried reaching out to you, Hannah, with no response.
No, they were not
And you
contacted
were on
on
the fire department.
And I sit on the fire department, so that's how it happened.
Never
But some of those statements in there are lies.
Contact
So,
from the mayor.
I just, and the truck has yet to be proven who has bought it.
So can I interject here?
Yeah.
So, here's the deal. The truck the sale of the truck was a complete disaster from every procedural and record-keeping protocol there is. First, like, the city council should have had a resolution disposing of assets, authorizing the sale of the truck. That never happened. Then the title, I believe, I have not seen the title, but several people have told me that it was the city administrator that signed the title and the fire chief signed the bill of sale. This is a procedural mistake, right? Like, and then the payment after the fact is another procedural thing. Like, the title should have never been handed over without payment. And so there were many, many failures, and everybody is to blame.
Right.
City,
So I was
fire
just gonna say
department.
that I think we can all agree that we're all sitting up here, that mistakes have been made. But I don't think it should come to the cost of a fire department for the citizens at all.
Okay, I will go next with what what I've got written up. I'm sure many of you, like me, are confused about how we got here. I received a call from the city administrator Thursday, July 11th at 5:28 p.m. to inform me the fire chief, Nick Stelkin, and he had met, and the fire chief had verbally resigned. About 9 o'clock that night, I discovered the department had also resigned. In many of the department's Facebook posts in the past week, they claim lack of council support as one of their main issues. At our meeting this Monday with the chief and city administrator, an example for lack of support referred to one council member voting no on a single fire department item in a past meeting. The item still passed the vote, but that one no vote constitutes lack of council support in the department's eyes. To watch people that claim to care so much about this town spend almost a week tearing it apart is so disheartening and disappointing. To watch many of our citizens grasp onto the statements being put out to the world by members and family members of the department instead of conducting their own fact-finding shows how quickly misinformation can spread. I truly hope common ground can be found and a positive solution reached. And I did reach out to all council members besides Megan on Monday night, not last night, because I know Megan is well aware of the situation. I spoke with them regarding the meeting between the chief and I and the city administrator, recommending the 3-month trial period, as I believe truly that that is the best option at the moment for the community to keep a fire department intact and to find a way forward. That's how I'd like to see it.
All I want to say is, I've only been on the council for about 3 months, I think it is, and and to me, kind of walked into a lot of this I didn't know about, but I think it was very wrong that the fire department just up and stopped. There was every opportunity to come and get on the agenda to fight and to talk about the grievances, and that never happened.
I think, as a council, I was thinking, I probably maybe can speak for all of us. Nobody wants to be here tonight. Nobody wants to be talking about this. And I think you all want to see a fire department stay. Am I correct in saying that? I think we need to put our differences aside and put our best foot forward and try to move forward in a positive direction.
We need the fire department.
We need all of them.
Okay, thank you. Yep, thank you.
I want to go over some of these city code violations. 42.14, expulsion. 1, refusing or neglecting to do duty. 42.18, billing. 42.03, qualification age. Pretty sure that there was one person that was over 59 when they were appointed. Do you want the name to be said?
No.
42.04, no council approval of members. 42.03, lack of command, not to mention. Just a minute. All the code of ethics violations, which was brought up during a meeting last year, if I remember right. I can't tell you what meeting it was, but the code of ethics was read, and there was some other things that I brought up, because Riley was out in the audience, and I was up here, and Megan said, we're not going to discuss this in a city council meeting, you can talk about it afterwards. And so we did.
How come nobody wants to work with you, Jeff? Yeah.
Okay, all right. All right, anything else from the council?
Yeah, I just want to say, the members voted on you guys see all of our minutes and are approved every month. You get, all of our minutes are in the packet and you guys approve them. So it's not the volunteers part, that's our fault, or the city's fault, if you don't look over them good enough to know who's getting voted on or not. That's the way it's always been, that's the way it's been for years. So they are ran by you guys, you know exactly who's on it.
But
And the code of ethics and the code you just read, also the same standards are held for us here.
Yeah.
By not doing it. Has no fire protection. We have no fire protection. And where do you think that falls on? Right here. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
We can work together, we just need to put our differences aside. We can do it. We're better than this.
I love our firefighters. They put their lives on the line. That is not their full-time job. They go out and do that.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Quiet.
I love that.
Thank you.
Were there any more council deliberations or comments?
So, I again would like to encourage everyone to put emotions aside. You know, I think there's a way forward, and I think, you know, I honestly think it's not the best thing for the community to have nothing. And whether it's the 3-month probation with all the stipulations that Nick, Dino, and I discussed and agreed on, you know, we can't have nothing.
You gotta do this all again in 3 months then?
That's not fair to do, for the families involved.
That wasn't that wasn't the intent or what was agreed upon. What was agreed upon is that we set forward like communication stipulations, like 3 or 4 criteria, and that if those are all met, that it just goes on the consent agenda to reappoint for a full term. So the point is with the concept of a 3-month trial period is that everybody's given a chance to hit the reset button. Everybody is given a chance to adopt the code of ethics, to put this fighting aside. And I'm just, on a personal note, you know, most of you know I come from Chicago. I left one of the most historic, beautiful villages maybe in the world because infighting and bickering ruined it in 2 years. Ruined it. Birthplace of Ernest Hemingway, Frank Lloyd Wright, incredibly famous people. I watched a town go from a shining jewel of a municipality to absolute, utter chaos in 2 years.
Right here.
And, right, so this is, if you wanted my recommendation, I like the 3-month period. Obviously, I'm at your disposal. We'll do whatever the council decides. But I think a good faith effort moving forward is to establish a trial period. If all the criteria are met, it goes on to a consent agenda in 3 months and we move on. I do believe in second chances. And I have worked very closely with the fire chief. We just completed a major project of documenting all of the assets of the fire department. It was a major project. It went off without a hitch. So I get it. I believe in second chances on both, you know, all the way around. But again, I haven't been here for the years that this situation has been devolving. So I also acknowledge that for many of you, this isn't a second chance. It's a third chance, a fourth chance, a fifth chance. But for me, I'm coming in new, so the way that I see it is, I think the best thing to do is to move forward and try to work it out. But again, you know, we're at the mercy of the council, and we will, you know, take action no matter what is decided, and make sure that we're, you know, trying to, you know, do what's best for the citizens.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but in our meeting, Nick stated, I mean, you guys, and I know you have said too that, I mean, you've got a good working relationship going and open communication, so I wish that could have just been communicated to you and then to us before it had to come to this.
I agree, and, you know, but at the same time, it's like, you know, when entities are spiraling in the wrong direction, it's very hard to change course. And, you know, I acknowledge that. You know, there's been wrongs, there's been, you know, rumors, there have been statements, all around. You know, I'm, you know, you're my boss, but I'm not afraid to tell you when I think that, you know, you've been wrong. And there have been wrongs on both sides. I don't comment on Facebook, but I've read almost every comment, and some of the vileness that I've seen from a lot of people, and I'm not pointing to any one entity or another. All around, we could be doing a much better job respecting each other.
Absolutely.
And, 30 years ago when I started visiting this town, because my wife's grandparents are from here, this place was an incredible, very positive, very happy place. And unfortunately, I think that we have a lot of work to do to get back there. And I do think that the internet has really poisoned the well in many ways. And as a community, we ought to rethink about how we resolve our differences, because on Facebook, that ain't the way, in my opinion.
I think things will get better having you here. I think somebody to lead and be here every day, and I think this will be a big change.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at on it. Obviously, we have contingency plans in place for however the board votes tonight, but I can't in good conscience say that I think it should be one way or another. I do think we should try, but that's up to you to decide.
I just have a question. In this 3 months, are we gonna drop this truck thing? Like, we've already paid for it. To my knowledge, we didn't use the money back in our fire department for general funds. We lost that money altogether.
What we agreed to is if the 3-month thing happens, that the reset button gets hit, and any utterance of what has happened in the past is a deal breaker.
Yeah.
Like, it is done, never to be spoken of again, and, I know that that's hard, and there's a lot of emotions around it, but the only way to move forward is all the grievances have been aired, everybody knows where everybody's at, the only way to move forward is to forgive and forget, and move on,
I know we're not supposed to make a comment, but I read in Lamont minutes.
No, there she goes, she just violated it.
What?
No, I want to add on
you're a
to
council, you
this.
can say whatever you want,
I'm a council member, I can talk.
Yeah.
It's not just you want to know. I read in Lamont.
All right,
I want to take vice president.
okay.
I read in Lamont city council minutes that they sold, or that they bought that fire truck for $20,000. I was not up here, but I was out there every meeting. There was very few meetings unless my husband was in the hospital or my son. And lots of times I came back here in time to get to a meeting, if you guys know it or not. But anyway, I started questioning, and I know these two were up here at that time. I said, I never heard anything brought up by the fire department to sell that truck. That was the old ambulance that we had while I was president of the ambulance board. Prior to. Well, you want to know, because I kept asking where the money went to.
Yep, I think we've established that everyone made mistakes. All right, anything else from the council? Okay, if not, we have a motion and a second on the floor to reappoint Nick Stelson to the office of fire chief for a 2-year term.
Now, however you guys decide, you can amend that to go with whatever direction you choose, so that would be the next thing, if there's any change.
I want to ask before we get to voting, am I allowed to vote on this?
So,
Yes, we're voting on by.
Okay, all right.
yeah, you are allowed, there is no legal conflict of interest, your conflict of interest does not rise to that. Because we have a policy in place. There could be a perceived conflict of interest, which makes it your choice to vote. Or if you decide to vote, the city council could make a sub-amendment, or not a sub-amendment, but a sub-motion to vote and discuss whether or not you should be able to vote on the issue.
Well, we can just ask them, are you guys okay if I vote?
Vote.
Deb, go ahead. Yes. Sarah, go for it. Riley?
other discussion? Now we'll go to vote. Sarah?
No.
Riley?
No.
Megan? Yes. Jason?
No.
Deb?
No.
I suggest taking about a 5-minute recess to let everybody.
Sure, okay.
So and I know that the press has to make their deadlines.
Okay. All right, so we'll take a 5-minute recess.
Still streaming, the microphone is still hot.
Resignation outside. Yep.
You're an absolute disgrace. Seriously. We're first and dying because we don't have a response to something. Now, you're going to be comfortable with it too. Order out.
We're taking a 5-minute break and then we'll return.
I don't know if you can have the outpouring of support on a regular basis versus just when people with this city matters, not just the fire department, not just the city council, not the fire, EMS, police, whatever it is. I wish that the outpouring of support would come more often, other than,
You guys just aim it down. It's not getting anywhere by being rude.
Okay, I'm gonna, while we're in recess, I'm gonna let the press out the back door.
Okay, sure. I think we're set.
Yeah, is everybody staying for other agenda items? Okay, cool, so we're gonna go back live, I appreciate it if everybody keeps down for the listeners at home. Thank you.
All right, we will move on back in order to the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the consent agenda. Any other questions? Now we'll go to vote. Riley?
Yes.
Megan?
Same.
Jason?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yeah.
All right, moving down to information.
Not a lot of updates, other than what we've been talking about. Obviously, this issue is consumed most of the time. we'll have updates and emails like throughout the week on some open items, but we're not ready to, comment on stuff yet.
Okay. Any other questions on information? All right, now we'll move on to new business. Number 8, motion to approve appointing Amy Horns to the ambulance board. Right, ambulance board?
Yeah. Yes. Can I correct that because you have the other ones?
Yeah, I was gonna say, the agenda was supposed to be updated.
Yeah, there's.
Motion to
there's-
approve.
Yeah.
Motion to approve appointing Amy Horns, Kay Behrens, Jordan Johnson, right? To the ambulance board.
So I will start, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
Well, we have to have a second.
Yep,
Yeah.
let's get a
I'll
motion
second
first.
all.
Okay.
All right, was that a motion?
Yes, I made the motion.
Motion second to approve appointing Amy Horns, Kay Behrens, and Jordan Johnson to the ambulance board. Okay. Go ahead.
So, you know, I like when they get to sit.
No, you have to stand in the middle.
I'm not standing in the middle. Okay. So, as most of you guys are aware, the city, or the ambulance board has been short finding volunteers for the past, God, it seems like since I initially moved to Starbreeze 8 years ago. When I took over as service director, it was brought to my attention by several community members, by the exiting service director, and by the city council, that there had been talk about just assembling the board due to not being able to fill vacancies. So I went out, I talked to Amy, who used to be on the board, back when I was previously, the billing specialist. She had hesitations about coming back, obviously, again, due to conflicts between city council and another department. When I took the position as service director, I was very clear in my statement that I would not be drug into city drama. Again, it is not my intent of what each department is here for. We are here to serve a purpose and serve our community. So I spoke with Amy. Michelle Becker also spoke with Amy, as well as the previous interim director while there. Spoke with Amy, and Amy has agreed to come back, given that you guys will accept her appointment. She is not able to join us this evening as she is out of state, vacation, okay. I couldn't remember the state for work, so. But she did ask me to share a little something with you. She says, hello, my name is Amy Horn. I moved here back in 2011. I am married with 4 kids and 2 granddaughters. I was a dispatcher in Clayton County for 8 years and Delaware County for 2 years. I currently work remotely for a public safety software company as the manager. I have served on the ambulance board prior for 3 years and left at the end of my commitment. I enjoy serving my community and understand that there are open positions once again on that board and would like to volunteer my time. We are getting ready to transition into a huge vast of unknown with radio networks going down, new radio networks going up. That involves a lot of 28E agreements being switched. It includes territory being taken away from our township or our services. There's a lot of unknowns, and to have somebody with dispatch knowledge that can help me navigate through some of this treacherous waters as I try to fix everything else within the ambulance department. She is probably my number 1 choice to fill this seat because of her vast knowledge. So I hope you will consider her as one of the candidates to fill the immediate position. The other 2 positions that we have available is for our Doc Thompson, co-founder of Strawberry Point Ambulance, and then Dan Harris is also up for resignation in September. While I was badgering Amy about joining the ambulance board during my son's baseball game, Jordan was there as well. She showed some interest to it. I'll let her introduce herself here in a second. And then lastly with Kay Behrens. I've known Kay for just as long as everybody else with the ambulance department. The reason why I picked these 2 young ladies is because Jordan's husband is a deputy, so she understands the level of commitment that it and just pay for her strong opinions and values within the community of itself. Kay and I haven't always agreed on everything, but sometimes you do need somebody that is going to push back a little bit when it comes to important decisions involving your community and involving the tax dollars that we all pay to run this town. So I will go ahead and turn the floor over to the ladies. Please give them your sincere consideration, because I think right now a free ambulance board is the last thing we need to be worried about.
Is there something about where they live at, or are they okay with that?
Yes, so I pointed that out to Dino yesterday afternoon, I believe it was. Because of other incidences that recently happened within the city, I have had several phone calls with regulators, and the city code for the specific ambulance and ambulance board were brought to my attention. The city ordinance as it is published should have been revised back when I was on the ambulance prior, because the board made a motion to open up our board membership to our service district, not just to Cass Township. So we need to find those minutes. I apologize, I have not had a whole lot of time trying to get everything else taken care of. But those were approved by the board, and I believe the city council at the time passed that resolution as well. So
I remember that meeting on the liaison time.
thank you. I knew I wasn't crazy. So please don't shoot Kay down because she does not live in Strawberry. Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like I shouldn't be smiling, but I'm gonna smile because I want to bring goodness back into the town. I'm not originally from here. For those who don't know me, I grew up and was raised in Cedar Rapids. We moved here in 2011. We've been here since. My parents are here. Me and my husband Craig, we live here with our 2 young daughters. We love it here. We hope to stay here and retire here. I'm kind of sad to have come on a meeting night that this all has happened, because it's difficult to join when there's obviously issues within the city. But I think now more than ever you need people that are committed to making this town great and bringing us all together. I fully believe, Tony mentioned my husband is a deputy. I know that emergency services are needed. That's fire, police, EMS, we're all needed. And I honestly think that the three should work together and be a whole as far as communication, and that goes with city council as well. We should all be a whole. We're a small town, we're a small community, we should be looking after one another. So I think I was a little hesitant coming tonight, knowing what was given on the agenda, but I'm proud to be here in front of you guys today, and I hope that you give it an honest consideration. I'd love to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Kate Barron. I live in Lamont. I just thought it would be good to have somebody from Lamont, one of the areas you service. I think it would be beneficial for both the ambulance board, Lamont, so forth. I'm guessing you'll know me, so. Like to be considered, do a good job, I hope. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're
Three open.
only approving one person or
No, three.
No, I read them all.
Oh, thank goodness.
Did you say that Dr. Thompson and Dan were gonna be there?
Yes, both of their terms are over
So
in
what
December.
happened for medical director?
Dr. Salas.
Dr. Salas is already at medical.
Dr. Thompson has not been our medical director since fall.
He's just serving on.
Right.
He just filled the board.
Okay.
Oh, and Tony, you forgot one thing. The gift.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Dino.
Yeah, right.
I got it sidetracked. September 3rd is a Tuesday. It is a board meeting that night. It is also the official last day of both Dr. Thompson and Dan Harris as board members and being affiliated with EMS. We will be hosting an open house down in the ambulance garage. I will get flyers made up here shortly and get it advertised on Facebook and everywhere else. But I do hope that everybody
you do us a favor and just email us too, like maybe tonight or tomorrow, just so we can get it on the calendars early before the Facebook stuff comes up?
Sure.
You know, because it doesn't go on my calendar, yeah. Thank you, Tom.
I'll make the motion to approve Jordan, Amy, and Kay for the ambulance board.
I'll second it.
Motion and second to approve Kay, Jordan, and Amy to the ambulance board. Any other questions? Now we'll go to vote. Megan?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Riley?
Yes.
Thank you all. Yeah.
Welcome aboard.
Can I say something before we leave?
He's the boss.
No.
Right, yeah.
He's my boss.
Yeah, go ahead.
My heart is so warm that we have the communication and service that Tony has been absolutely wonderful.
Good.
He was, very, very accommodating, very, very helpful.
Good. That's great to hear.
I mean, it's such a benefit to everyone.
Good.
A lot.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you for
Yes,
doing that.
yeah.
I'd like to thank Doc Thompson and Dan Parrish for their service. It's really appreciated.
Yeah.
They worked hard.
Yeah.
I know that it's not quite the norm to do like proclamations, but I think that,
Yeah,
you know, a
absolutely.
proclamation would probably be in order to have official city recognition of that service. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
if you want, I can prepare that for the next meeting.
That'd be great.
Yes, we'd like that.
All right, thank you all. Move on to item number 9, motion to approve 28E contract for emergency response service with Sperry Township.
I still make the motion that
Megan made the motion.
You made it? I'll second it.
Okay. Motion and second to approve the 28E contract for emergency response service with Sperry Township. Now we can discuss.
I asked some questions about that, and evidently, these hasn't been updated for quite some time from any of the records that have been researched. Yes.
Linda Eckhart, and I am here on behalf of the Board of Trustees with Sperry Township.
Okay.
So, it had gotten lax between everything, the city administrator being gone and everything, and all of our 28E agreements kind of had gotten lax. And so we've been working for probably the last over a year to get all of these signed, and they're very hard to get back. We just found out. And, so with Arlington and Strawberry and Baga and Alcater, their ambulance and their fire district, we did make some changes. As far as the levies that you guys get, it's not going to affect that much. Arlington ambulance was not getting paid anything for their coverage in Sperry Township. So when we divide it out, we take how many sections that each one has, and then we divide that out. And that's like the percentage that you get. If you have X amount of sections, you're going to get that percentage. So your levy, what you're going to get from the township, hasn't changed a lot because of adding that now we're paying Arlington. So we added those into it. So we did give some to Alcater of the northern part. We did give, I want to say 4 sections. I don't have it in front of me. I apologize. I just kind of got nominated as spokesperson. So we did give some of those to Alcater. They were more than willing to take them. Given the situation of the ambulance, just the situation the past year that you guys have had, we didn't know what to do. So we spent a lot of discussion on it. I don't want you to think that it's something that we took very lightly, because it was not. Because we put it off, we tabled it to see what the ambulance would do and stuff like that. So as far as losing money, you're really not going to lose that much. You did lose some sections to Alcater.
Okay.
So, do you guys have any questions for me?
No, we thank you for the work that you put into this.
Thank you. You're welcome.
I'll make the motion to approve the 2080 agreement with for Township.
Second.
All right, motion and a second to approve 20E contract for emergency response service with Perry Township as is.
And that, yeah, staff has read it, no objections.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions? Not, we'll go to vote. Jason?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Riley?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Right. Number 10, motion to approve resolution number 2422, cost of living increase for city staff. A motion and a second, then we can discuss.
Motion to discuss.
Second. Motion second to discuss.
All right, so, as you know, we've been, trying to get more regular in our compliance, not fall back on stuff. So what's proposed today is a 3.5% cost of living adjustment. Just for transparency and clarity, this isn't a pay raise. This is a cost of living adjustment. In the packet, I've shown the city staff that are getting the adjustment. It does not include Jesse or myself or the police who are on a separate pay schedule. Me as a newer hire didn't feel that it was ethical for me to take an increase having just been hired. And Jesse's been, rehired recently, and so we both opted out of this. So this is for staff. I've also shared from the Bureau of Labor Statistics what's the consumer price index and inflation rates over the last few years, because there have been other adjustments. This adjustment is smaller, it's 3.5%. Right now, inflation is tracking at about that rate in 2024. So we feel that this is necessary to, pay our staff an ethical wage, to have retention, and make sure that we're valuing our team, in this way, and making sure they're not falling behind inflation.
You may want to make sure that you tell the library director and the board, because they've been handling it too.
Yes, we're actually working that out already to, they're going to be fully informed, and then at some point in the near future, that's going to come back into City Hall, and we'll be handling it from city accounts. Yeah.
So this will affect them though right now?
I mean, they're aware of these changes, because they presented these numbers to us after we gave them the percentage, so, we got the information about where their staff were, made the updates, but at some point in the near future, it'll all be handled under one umbrella.
Okay, because they just voted on one of them and it wasn't $1, it was only 50 cents, if I remember right.
Yeah, we went back and forth with her over the last few days to make sure that the numbers were accurate.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Right.
There's already a motion.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, it's already been moved and seconded, so.
All right, yep. Any other questions? If not, we'll go to vote. Deb?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Riley?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
All right. Number 11, motion to approve the use of the Inger Park band shell for the Android Family Concert. And I believe this is on behalf of the museum. Is that correct?
I'd make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the use of the Inger Park band shell for the Android Family Concert.
Yeah, no conflicts with any city schedules, from our perspective, no objections.
Okay, so that's been looked
Yeah.
into, okay. And what's the date, do you happen to have it?
Yes-ish, it's somewhere in the packet.
Thank you.
Oh, this Tuesday?
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay, so for this Tuesday, sounds good. I have
Any
nothing
other
else to add.
questions? If not, we'll go to vote. Sarah? Yes. Riley?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
All right, number 12, discussion and possible action estimate for the city park shelter.
Okay, so a motion and a second, and then we'll have an update from our resident Chicago Cubs fan.
Make a motion.
Second.
All right, motion and second to discuss estimates for the city park shelter.
All right, so, yeah, you guys all got the estimate. It was a little confusing, luckily one of the contractors changed the typo at the last minute. But, yeah, total, we came in quite a bit under budget. I had 50,000 budgeted, we're at 35,577. If it goes a little bit. Down at Campbell Park on,
The one
the
that
swimming
has the-
pool, yeah, one week before the
Okay, thank
it's
you.
about ready to fall down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So now, like on the removal bids, one thing I did want to point out, I'm sure you guys seen it, for Larry Myers' bid, he also put a $750 addition on it. That's to fix some of the tile lines that are plugged and causing issues. Those ash trees that were there are gone, so we could probably retile that and not have issues again. Maybe we could try the whole thing out, hopefully. But, as far as the building will stay exactly the same. We are gonna change the concrete a little bit. I wanna take it out 4 feet wider north-south, just for the runoff, off the roof. Then like the front comes out now at the sidewalk, that will be the full width of the shelter house all the way to the sidewalk, like a pocket. The grills will be put right back in the concrete, there'll be enough room for a table or two outside.
Sure.
So you don't have to sit in the shelter, you can be outside.
Sure. Okay.
I didn't put the electric on here yet, but there will be just some outlets, maybe a motion light out front. I wouldn't put overhead lights in, they'll get broken.
Sure.
Yeah. But otherwise, everything will stay the same. The south shelter that is on here, that's just the roof on that shelter.
And we have all this budgeted for, correct?
All of it's budgeted for, and as you said, it's coming in under budget, so some of these projects sometimes have some overages, so I appreciate that we've got some buffer.
Yeah.
And, good job on staff for negotiating and, getting us the best rates. You know your gut, man.
Can you clarify which one?
So.
There's a lot of information.
Yeah, there's a lot of information. I guess my recommendation, I would go with Larry on the removal and the tile, and let's go out a little bit. And then Doug Meyer who's also a little bit, Doug and Justin.
So Larry did the removal and Doug and Justin would do
Just
the
building,
rebuild.
and then there was only one bid for concrete, I could only get one bid, but my understanding, Chad and Bill will bid it together, whoever has time, is going for it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Any estimate on time wise?
No, not really.
Okay.
We're gonna get started. I think Larry will probably start on this part right away.
Sure.
We'll get some dumpsters down there, start taking it down.
Yep, okay. Well, that's most important to get it taken down.
Get it down, get it out of the
Yeah.
front wall.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve where?
Meyer, Zimmerman?
Yeah.
Sound right?
Yeah, the one concrete bid, Meyer and, Zimmerman one, Meyer, yeah.
3 of those bids.
The 3 of those bids, yeah, there we go.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second to go with Eric's recommendations for the removal, concrete, and then the new structure of the shelter at Campbell Park. Any other questions?
Do we need to say who they are here? It's Meyer Excavation, and it's Doug Meyer and Joseph McDonald Construction, and then it's, Chadwick.
Yeah, Chad.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right.
It is Chad's, right?
Chad for the county.
Yeah, that's
Concrete.
Yep.
Yeah, and you can
You
approve
want me-
staff recommendation, you
Yeah.
don't have to,
Yeah.
We don't have to take totals with this.
Okay,
We got it.
It's in the packet, so everybody
Yep,
can see it
in the
already.
packet.
any other questions? Now, we'll go to vote. Riley?
Yes.
Megan? Yes. Jason?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
All right, we'll move down to number 14, motion to enter into a closed session pursuant to Iowa Code Section 21.5 IJ to discuss the potential sale or acquisition of property.
All right, so unfortunately, we have to go into an executive closed session to discuss property. So, as much as we love to have you all here, we have to ask that everyone leave while we.
I just have one last question before I leave. If I have something that I'm wondering if we could add to the city, like where do I bring that up?
We bring it here or email me.
Thank you. Oh, hey Liz.
I don't know where you.
No.
Oh, okay, got it, yeah, I'm like, I have to learn where everybody lives.
Thank you, that's amazing, thank you.
All right, I'm gonna stop the stream, so.
Sure.